flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a note before we get started to not only the board but the audience as well. Our microphones are all wireless microphones, and we've been advised that if you turn them off and then turn them back on, it takes just a little bit of time for it to go from here to the receiver. And so as a result, every once in a while in the past you've seen us go, not working, and slap it. Doesn't help the microphone. It includes the one that's on the podium. That one on the podium is currently on, and I will ask the board members as they use the microphone and turn it on, just to lay it down, face away from you, and leave it on also. With that said, the first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the board meeting from September 18th, 2019. Are there any changes that need to be made to those that the board's aware of? Seeing none, they'll stand as submitted. Correspondence, our secretary, Ms. Webster.
Mr. President and DCPO Board of Directors, the Brookridge Helping Hands is sponsoring a Halloween party for the local Special Olympics in the Pavilion on Saturday, October 26, 2019, from 4 to 8 p.m., and requests permission for the general public to attendance of invitees. Thank you for your time in this matter. Mary L. Sweeney, President, Brookridge Helping Hands. Motion to approve the general public attendance to the Helping Hands Special Olympics Halloween Party at the Pavilion from 4 to 8 p.m. on Saturday, October the 26th.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Matthews. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, I'll presume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Passes.
Ready for me? Subject, reimbursement of CERT funds used for the storage in climate-controlled environment during clubhouse maintenance. To the Brookridge Board of Directors. Brookridge CERT is asking for reimbursement of monies spent to rent a climate-controlled storage unit during the months of May through August 2019, totaling $721.82. CERT had been told it needed to remove all CERT equipment from the clubhouse by the end of the first week in May. The materials we hold in storage in the clubhouse need a climate-controlled environment, which none of our volunteers had for the volume of CERT equipment and supplies. We relocated the contents of the CERT storage room to a nearby facility the first weekend in May as requested. As you know, the first reports were for the maintenance to be completed by the end of June. This was revised to extend to the end of August. CERT complied with the request, but the cost was higher than we originally anticipated with the extension of 2 months. Would the Board of Directors be willing to reimburse CERT the funds used for this rental of a climate-controlled environment used from May 4, 2019 through August the 31st, 2019. We thank you for your consideration and approval for this reimbursement, which will go to our next Brookridge Community Emergency Response Team project. Bill Hartman.
Ray, I'm going to ask your opinion on that since there's not a motion attached to that.
Yes, you don't want my opinion.
Okay, chapter 1, 2. I would possibly suggest that the board convene on this and report back at the next board meeting, discuss amongst yourselves. It's not like the funds aren't available, but you guys can decide and then bring it back for approval at the next board meeting would be my suggestion.
What, did you hear what he said? Usually.
Do you really think we need the time?
You're the board. If you want to make a motion, you make a motion.
I think we should make a motion, and if it passes, give them the money. Ray just said we did have the money.
Where's it coming from, Ray? Operating funds?
Donated funds, general funds. The donated account, the donated funds account. Things that your yard sales produced funds, the expo
So it comes from
produced.
donated funds, so
Correct.
all I know about that.
Correct.
Okay.
I make a motion to pass. Do I have a second? I make a motion to donate funds of $721.82.
I second it.
I have a second by Ken. Any discussion from the board?
I don't object to that, I just wonder if that money will show up on the clubhouse expenses. This money spent. My question is, I was wondering if the money spent for Zurich would show up on the money spent for the clubhouse renovations as it was part of that job.
It would not. It would come under donated funds. It would show up on your next treasurer's report under the donated funds category.
I do. Bill, there you are. I just spotted you back in the back. Was there funds that CERTA already had set up to pay for that originally? You stated in there that the cost was higher than we originally anticipated.
We didn't expect to have that kind of expenditure at all, but we did have funds available that would have paid for the first couple of months at least. So it was not an expenditure that we expected to have.
Did everybody hear him?
I'm sorry, what's this for? I'm sorry.
This was for when CERTs removed their material that has to be kept in a climate controlled while the clubhouse was being renovated. And they stored it off-site, so they had a place to put it in climate controlled. And it took longer to get the clubhouse done than anticipated, and they're asking for help in paying for the fee for the storage of that material while it was out of here.
The CERT is Community Emergency Response Team.
Thank you.
I know we're talking about acronyms.
No, thank you. I'm glad you, I was trying to.
What about being in a climate control area? I mean, what was it that had to be stored in climate control?
Good question.
Discussion by the board? Any further? See,
So that money is not gonna show up? It's just, where did it come from?
the
Donated
money
funds?
would come from donated funds.
See it on the next one.
Sounds to me like you need, before you do something.
It'll show up on the bottom of the finance report, at the bottom where it shows expenditure for donated funds. Any other questions by the board, in front of the board?
No, get out the board.
I'm sorry to speak, and if there's issues that you want to speak to on a Wednesday night, I'm sorry, but you do need to sign up at the back with a form that says you want to speak to that issue. Otherwise, I can't call on you for the issue.
But if you vote
I'm
on it, we
sorry.
can't do anything anyway.
And if we don't know this is on the agenda, we can't say anything.
It was on
either.
the agenda, it was included in the package
It
that
says
was
a letter.
emailed to everybody.
It says a letter.
So this was in the package It went out to everybody in the email.
A letter, it doesn't say what it's about. How are we gonna respond to that?
I think it needs to go to your
I think
Tuesday
you need
morning
to table
meeting.
it, really.
Told you.
I make a motion to table it.
We have a motion to table and a second. We will table this until our Tuesday meeting, first Tuesday in November. Chapter Manager's report.
Right where we October 2nd. So, in addition to the previous items at the Tuesday meeting, attached is a copy of the last swimming pool inspection completed by the Florida Health Department. There were no violations. Is also posted poolside under glass. Reference to the reserve fund questions by Paul Harrison. The annual reserve funding expenses is paid from our income, and the total is $398,900 for 2019. Each month for 10 months, we transferred $39,890 from our operating account to the reserve account to fund those reserve accounts. It was probably around 2012, they changed it from a 12-month payment plan to a 10-month payment plan. Operating account is the same as saying general account. Attached is a list of repairs on the patrol vehicle. They both have experiencing mechanical issues with running hot or overheating and AC not cooling. Patrol 1 was purchased January 2016 at $1,800 in repair this year, and Patrol 2, purchased in June 2017, had $3,000 in repairs. These do not include the routine maintenance of oil changes and replacement tires. Patrol 1 would be scheduled to trade in around January 2021, and Patrol 2 is scheduled for June 2022. We'll monitor the repairs and advise the board if we should trade in earlier than expected due to these replacement costs. The current replacement dates, the fuel report. So from January 2016 to May 31st of 2017, we operated the pickup trucks, and the fuel cost for that period was $14,857. When we changed to the cars in June of 2017, for the same 18-month span till December of 2018, the car's fuel cost was $9,726. So almost $5,000 in fuel savings by changing from the trucks to the cars. To the Board of Directors, Article 12, in accidents, as a follow-up to a recent accident on the inbound gate and issuing a violation. Captain Schubert and I discussed the matter in the documents and agreed that a violation would be opened and the homeowner will be allowed up to 30 days to complete the payment for the damage before a fine and suspension would go into effect. If insurance agents are involved and more time is needed, then the owner may request an extension by written request. If payment is not received, then the fines and suspensions would go into effect as per the governing documents. To date, all previous damage has been paid by either the owner or the insurance company. That's all I got.
Ray, you have trucks fuel? Do we have trucks in deed restrictions?
We did,
We did?
before we went to the cars.
So that would be in 2017 or 18's fuel?
The dates that I gave you are for the security vehicles, trucks that we used to operate,
Okay.
and it should be attached to your agenda.
I do have that, but I
Okay.
didn't know we had trucks. Also, I'd like to know, do we know how many miles are on each car?
We do.
There is 71,000 on Patrol 2 and 70,000, either 69 or 70,000 on Patrol 1.
Also, I have another question on enforcement of regulations. Section 1C. It says, upon conclusion of the investigation, the BCPO manager shall submit his or her findings in writing to the GM or authorized designated, together with a recommendation regarding the disposition of the alleged incident. Has that been done?
Yes. I do my investigation and I give it to Ray.
Yes, I conduct an investigation and I give the results to our general manager.
Okay, thank you.
Have we received the payment for the damage done?
I don't know yet. I don't have that information tonight. I'll report next month for you. It's not 30 days up, I don't believe. It's on that 26th.
Next item on the agenda is the monthly violation reports attached to your agenda. It was sent out to everybody. Showed the month of September, 111 violations for September. Of those 111, 57 are closed, 53 are on notice, and 1 has been fined. Security crime report, Ken Schubert.
Yes, we had 3 incidents here last month. There was a forged check on Denmarsh. There was an aggravated battery on Scepter, and there was a possession of marijuana on Brookridge Central. Evidently, that was for recreational purposes.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report for the month of September and 30th. My mic is on. Can't hear you. Treasurer's report for September 30th, 2019. Our operating balance is $216,360.32. Accounts receivable assessments, $66,729.37. Accounts receivables fines owed, $51,388.73. Liens on file, 52. The year-to-date figure is $92,961.93. Fines owed. Our income for the month of September was $167,505.66. Operating expenses, administration, $43,074.68. Facilities, $24,298.21. Public Works, $18,216.34. Code enforcement, $29,049.58, for a total of $114,638.81, which is 78% of our yearly budget to date. In the reserve account, we have $1,612,900.62. Reserve expense, clubhouse flooring, wainscoting, $1,421.72. In the social club bank account, $37,405.86. Paid out $103.17 in sales tax and other donated funds, and $600 from the clubhouse wish list for the wainscoting, for a total of $703.17.
Discussion by the board.
I have a question. This wainscoting for $1,421 and then another $600. What is that for the wainscoting? That's almost $2,000.
I'll have to get back to you on Ann, because I didn't have the breakdown what the $600 was for at this time.
And also, are those funds going to be included in the renovation for the clubhouse?
The 1,421.72 came out of reserve expenses. $600 came out of the donated funds.
I'm still not clear as to what the 1421.72 was used for. What was that for? Paint? Was that for supplies? Was that for labor? What actually does that money represent? And also the $600, please.
Wainscoting. Vince, could you explain it further?
We'll be able to get that information at the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Could I ask who the money was paid to? The $1,400?
I want to step for just a second. On the report that we all got that listed it out, you're seeing $1,000 for the installed hallway, and then $421.72 for the library wainscoting, which gives you the total of $1,421.72 that's being questioned. That's on the report that each one of us received out. The wainscoting would have been the wainscoting that was purchased from Lowe's at the cheaper price than the wainscoting that's in here.
So this isn't for the repair of the wainscoting that was already installed, correct?
It's for installation, install and purchase. If you all go back through the things that were in your mailbox, you'll be looking for a report that looks just like this. It's got all those figures listed on it for you. Any other comments on the budget from the board? Seeing none, we'll move to unfinished business. Wainscoting State Ad Hoc Committee report.
He's not here.
Mr. Harris. Mr. Harrison.
There we go. Pablo.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Last board meeting, I was volunteered by the board to be the chairperson for the wainscoting, what we're going to do with it as far as finishing it. After the meeting, I had 3 people approach me and I did not know who they were, and they asked to be on the committee. Well, to give you a little brief summary on that, I called, we went out twice. We went to Sherman-Williams twice, we went to 2 Lowe's, the one on 41, the one on 19, and we went to the one on Home Depot. As a committee, I can honestly say, we asked a lot of questions, we got answers, and as we went along, I made phone calls, they called me, and we had a At the end of this thing, we got to know each other very well, and I would like to personally thank, and I'd like these people to stand up and get their due recognition. Anna Webster, Ann Edwards, and Vincent, a.k.a. Vinnie Bruno. I said we did ask questions. It was wonderful for all three, but it was very good to have Ann Edwards on because has done that work through interior decorating, painting. As everybody hopefully knows, she did the Wall of Honor out there, and she did a beautiful job painting that. So she was very helpful towards this committee. Okay, with that further said and done, like I said, we went to Sherwin-Williams right over here because we would, by grade, we have an account with them and they could give us a discount. They basically didn't have any mix, they would have to mix colors for us. So we shot over to Lowe's on 41, and we were thinking of trying to get it done with the least amount of work. So what we did was we found a color, it was called pecan, and it was a combination polyurethane and stain, oil base. Well, Ann Edwards volunteered to do that, and we came up here, she called me, her and I came up here, and the color more or less was in a reddish tone, a little bit darker, what you see on the doors, and the odor was unbelievable. So we had to eliminate doing that process. If you did it in here, this place would have been stunk to high heavens. So we decided we had to go with the water base. So we went back to Sherwin-Williams because their prices were higher than Lowe's, and they said they would match Lowe's prices. We said, thank you. Then we shot over to, next time out, we went over to Home Depot, and they had their color selections there, and their charts. We all agreed they weren't the greatest colors, and they weren't very helpful to us. Like, you know, we're taking up their time. The guy couldn't really answer our questions, so we went across the street to Lowe's. And we found the color there that we all basically agreed upon, and it was called Honey Gold. So Ann did some pieces, and then I said I'd volunteer to do some pieces, and we did. There they are all up there, and if they want anybody to take a look at them, and I had written on them, and Ann wrote on the back was the process we want to go through this year. I got a call from one of the members, men's club members, Ken Duncan. He says, my brother works for Granger. Maybe he could come up with a batch, a large quantity, but he couldn't. He said, what about Ace over on across the street from the park in Brooksville there? I called him, that was no good. I called Benjamin Moore. They don't even stock stain. And then Ken also recommended there's a cabinet place as you're going down there, going into the Bed Bath & Beyond shopping center. And I should have realized that because I had work done by him. So I stopped over there and we had a nice chat. He says the days of them staining are over. All the cabinets come pre-finished. He gave me the name of a guy he used to use years ago for stain porter paints, called them Nothin. So I figured, well, there's one other thing I could do. Let's go right to Minwax. So I went online, got their phone number, I called them, I got a wonderful woman on the phone. I spent over an hour with her on the phone. Her name was Winnie, she was a stain consultant. And basically she gave me a quick rundown of what you should do doing this. And they said you should use a pre-stain conditioner on this. And what that does, it soaks into the wood, and when you put your stain on it, it would be more evenly shown instead of blotches and everything like that. She said you should use a brush, but you can use a rag or that black sponge thing, but they gave it that. And she said the stain has to be applied within 2 hours after you put on the preconditioner. It's crystal clear. The conditioner will not change in color over time, and it's only sold in quarts, $12.98 a quart. And I asked her, why only quarts? She said, because most people who are buying this are doing a room in their house, or maybe 2 rooms, not an entire hall like we have here. That's why it's sold in quarts. The stain is the same way, sold in quarts, $10.98 a quart, and it can be recoated after you put your initial coat on in 2 hours. If you didn't want to stain, left it the way it was, then that's a 2-step process, and that could be bought by the gallon. You put the pre-stain on, pre-stain is right, okay. You put the pre-stain on, and then you buy your polyacrylic and put that over it. You could sand it. The way she explains it, it involves a lot of sanding. Real quickly, you sand the wood. You put the preconditioner on. You sand the wood. Put the stain on. Sand the wood. Put the polyacrylic on. Sand the wood. Put the polyacrylic on. Sand the wood, and then put your third polyacrylic. That is too long of a process. It would take us forever to do this. So,
Who's going
again,
to do it?
like I said, on the pre-stain, you can brush it on, you can use that black pad. Minwax recommends brush. And this, I didn't know this, Sherwin-Williams owns Minwax. Okay? Now, if you do the pre-stain, if you brush it on, you have to wait 1 to 5 minutes and wipe any excess off. You can't allow the product not to be penetrated, not penetrate into the wood and to dry, so you have to wipe it off before it dries. Staining, you can do, brush it on, wipe it off, and you can't let it stay on the wood for no more than 3 minutes between that and wiping it off. Because it will darken the wood too fast if you let it sit. And the finish, you can apply 2 hours after you do the staining. So it is a process if you want to follow it. Like I say, last week, after we'd done all this, the committee met, we came down here again with the samples. I didn't have the ones I just did yesterday and today. And Vince was here at the time, and he was looking at them, and he said he liked one in particular that looked pretty good. And I said to him at that point was, well, we're here, we did what we have to do, we're going to present this to the board, and they're going to make the decision on what color. Vince then said, Ray and I will make that decision, the board will give us the money. Well, I think that all the 3 of us, because Anna had to leave, were in shock, dismayed, and appalled that the board would not have a decision-making process in picking out one color. So, like I said, we 3 of us were appalled when we heard Vince say this. That's my report on the. And again, I'd love to thank my committee, they did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Paul. So, Paul, before you leave the podium, let me make sure that everybody understands the not the water-based, oil-based recommendation not to use that because of the fumes, which is why we wouldn't have done anything until next April when a lot of people are gone anyway because of the fumes. So the recommendation from the committee is to use the water-based. Okay.
Dry and easy to use.
So are the examples that are laying the samples that are laying up in front of everybody are the ones that the committee had looked at and had decided that was the colors that they liked the most, is that correct?
All water-based. We did different things with each one. We may have sanded, some we didn't sand at all, to see which would be an easier process. Sanding.
Turn the microphone back on. Just leave it on. Takes a minute, there you go.
There we go. It's on now, right? Okay. We experimented trying to do this with the least amount of time and effort that whoever's going to be doing this. So, like I said, we did some sanding, I did some no sanding, or maybe just one sanding, just to see, the process. And if you put one coat, we used a gloss acrylic, your polyacrylic. If you come up here and you look, if you put one coat of polyacrylic on, it gives some more or less a satin finish. If you put the second coat on, it's coming into a semi-gloss finish. You put that third coat on, you'll get your gloss finish, which what we were hoping to get to match the stage. Vince had said to us when the first time here, he would like to get something to match the stage, color-wise, and the doors. And Ann Edwards said the same thing. You don't want to get anything that's far out. I like to say this. People have come up to me and says, why don't we just paint it white? The beauty of this wood, painted it white, then we could have gotten what's in the gym and it's in the library and saved a ton of money and put that in here. Somebody said leave it alone. It's pine. If you know anything about pine, it's very porous. And if you don't treat it, anything you spill on it, it's going to absorb into the wood and it's going to be a permanent stain. Somebody said whitewash it. I can't see whitewashing it either. Those were some of the comments people come up to me and asked about. The only thing I want to say is your timeline on this, according to Vince, this is not going to be done till next April. My only thought on this is, letting it go this long, you're going to have parties in here, all sorts of things going on the whole winter. I know it's busy in here. Maybe you're going to have maybe a glass of wine to be spilled onto it, or something like that, which is going to penetrate into the wood permanently, and you're not going to get that out of the wood. So I'm just thinking that if we could do it sooner, because everything, do it in sections. Everything you got a 2-hour drying limit on a lot of the stuff. And that stain is 1 to 3 minutes before you have to do a small section, wipe it down, go to your next section. No matter how you do it, it's time consuming.
So, again, I got to go back to my question for you. The colors that you've got down there are the colors, even though you've done different things to them, they're the colors that the ad hoc committee is recommending. Is that
correct?
Okay.
No matter what it's one stain, just different version. If you want to leave it on a little bit longer, or you want to put a second coat on of stain, it's all honey gold.
Okay.
So it's one water-based stain.
So it's all honey gold. It's just what you do to it. Is that correct?
Correct. It's what you do to it. You want to make it a little bit darker, or you wipe it off a little bit faster, leave it on a little bit longer, the 5 minutes, and it'll be a little bit darker.
Question for you then. Would it be possible, anything's possible, but time comes into things, would it be possible to take those and put a display type thing together with a note within that this is honey gold, this was one coat and it was left for this?
Everything's marked that way.
Okay, on the back of it or?
Those 2-3 boards have it on the back.
Okay.
Every one of these boards, I have written, like on this board, for instance, stained, wiped off, 3 coats of polyacrylic, no sanding at all.
Okay.
So every one is marked how I did this. And these 3 I did yesterday with the sealer. None of these have the sealer on it, just these 3. And if you look at it, It's more of an even tone. Uniform is the word. That's what the lady said from Minwax, uniform.
Okay.
These three. Now, this is a darker one. She just says you will see the grains more evenly flow here. Again, each one of these woods, if you look on the wall, you'll see your dark, your light, so it's going to darken and lighten depending on your wainscoting. The knots, the darkness, so everything is marked here. And people come up and look at it, and like I said, these two here, they're nothing but the polyacrylic. Yeah.
Paul, what I'd like you to do then is, and I'll take the responsibility off from the board, I'd like you and I to get together and to set up an area where we can set it up somewhere here in the clubhouse for people to come in, view, and set up some kind of...
Right, okay.
Like this color, or that color, or this, and let's
I know
go for the vote.
I went to the extreme, but I wanted people to see if we didn't sand it, or we did sand it, and what it looked like, with different coats of the acrylic coats.
Okay. Let you and I get together then, and we'll get it put together and set up in here where people can come up here, view it, and give their opinions as to which one, so we can go with a major vote. Okay.
Like I said, the longer you put this off, I think the more problem you can have down before we have to wait until next year. Because if at the social dance we had, where they had the hot dogs given out, you can see over there on the wall, the base moldings already got marks on it, people stuffing their shoes against it because it's not sealed yet. Thank you again. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the board for appointing me to this. I never did anything like this. I took it to heart. So. Good job. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate that. Appreciate the committee's work that they did on all that for us. We'll look forward to getting a display together where everybody can come and view that and give their opinions as to which way that we need to go with it. New business, Ms. Nutter.
The topic is election committee. This is, we need to establish the election committee members as SOP 3.4. Recommendation would be to approve volunteers to the election committee. Proposed motion to appoint Mary Sweeney as chairperson to the election committee.
I have a motion.
I'll second it.
I have a second by Ken Sajak. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none, I'll presume you're ready to vote on the first motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And the second motion is to appoint volunteers: Isabel Rad, Kay Demitter, Frank Verhoeven, to the election committee.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Smith. Discussion by the board. Seeing none, again, we'll presume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Ms. Webster.
The deadline for submissions of the members' agenda was Monday, October the 7th, 2019, and no submissions were received.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the new club, Classy Scarlet Ladies of Brookridge. To the BCPO, I'm requesting a room for my Red Hat group to meet the second Tuesday of every month, beginning November 12th, 2019. Our chapter, the Classy Scarlet Ladies of Brookridge, is a registered chapter of the Red Hat Society Chapter Queen is Joanne Rapino, and Chapter Co-Queen is Judy Rampino. Our meetings are for members, Brookridge residents, and invited guests. I've met with Patrona Sherman on September 25th. She advised me that the room and time are available. First meeting would be the second Tuesday of each month, room D, from 6 to 8 p.m. Thanking you in advance for your consideration. Place a motion on the floor to approve the new club, Classy Scarlet Ladies at Brookridge, for Brookridge residents and invitees to allow the use of the clubhouse for meetings following normal SOP for room reservation based on availability. I have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I have a couple questions.
I have a second by Mr. Sajak. Questions by the board?
The chapter co-queen, do we know who that is? This is a family member? Jody Rapino?
I do not know.
Okay, and they did not check off the need to use the kitchen? Are they going to use the kitchen?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
On part of this application, it says, do you need to use the kitchen ahead of time? Yes or no? And it's not. I don't know what this red hat is, so I'm questioning it. Do they need to use the kitchen, you think, or no?
The red hats have been around for a long, long time. And their leader is always the queen, you know, and then the second in command would be the co-queen. So that's where the queen comes in. It's just been around a long time.
My form says no to the kitchen. Kitchen use, no. No.
Oh, no to the kitchen?
No to the kitchen.
Any other questions by the board?
Is it okay that we have co-queen, not a member of the community? Is that it?
Do we know she's not a member of the community? The only thing that's required by our SOPs is that the chairperson be a member of the community. Any other discussion from the board?
No, thank you.
Seeing none, I'll presume you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a search spring yard sale transfer to the men's club. 10/9/19 Board of Directors. The Brookridge Men Club has been approached by search to accept responsibilities for the spring neighborhood garage sale. We're asking for permission to take over the duties. Thank you, Tom Gregorio, Secretary. I'll propose a motion on that we allow the Brookridge Men's Club to take over the spring neighborhood garage sale. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Matthews. Discussion? Tom, I saw you out there. There you are. Is there a date? Do you know the date on that offhand, right?
It's going to be in March. I don't remember the exact date. It's kind of towards the end of March.
Towards the end of March, be on a Saturday.
Corona has the paperwork.
Patrona, do you know the date on that offhand?
I do not know it offhand, but it is in March. I think it's the third Saturday.
That would be March 21st if it was the third Saturday. Be March 21st if it was the third Saturday, 2020. Is there an issue?
Okay.
It's either the 14th or the 21st. We're not positive. I can go look.
We're just transferring it here from CERT to the Men's Association.
We'll go with that. The motion is to approve the men's club taking that over. They'll verify a date, I know for sure, on this before we get there. Motion's on the floor. A second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll presume you're ready to vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Move now to the report of directors. I'm going to start on my right hand in with Mr. Matthews.
Good evening. I'll start off with the RV Compound Committee's report. Congrats. This is by Linda Walls. Congrats. We had 11 people at the walkthrough for this month's inspection. And I know we will have Roger and Cindy Phelps back next month. 7 volunteers. Marge and Doug Roloff, Lucy DeGuaya, Joe Moran, Wes Bookamer, Gary Thomas, Pat Menard, committee members, Ken Walls, Linda Walls, Margie Violet, and myself, Frank Matthews. Our treasurer, Jim Snyder, is still recovering from leg problems, and we wish him well. Hi, Jim. Jim Snyder stays in contact with us. We had an open discussion before we started our walkthrough of the compound. For the new volunteers, the discussion consisted of the rules and regulations for the RV compound and the violations to look for, such as carpet on the ground, mold, mildew, distance from the fence, etc. Cargo trailers were brought up in the discussion that haven't been moved in years, and they are used strictly for storage and taking up space that could be utilized by RVs and boats that are on the waiting list. The discussion then went to break-ins that have occurred in the past. The discussions turned to the new amendment that is up for the vote and the potential changes that could take place if the amendment passes. Right now, the RV compound operates on contributions from the unit owners that have a site in the compound. That led to the problems people were having with the online voting. In all, it gave everyone a chance to speak and get acquainted. We divided up into pairs and made our walkthrough for the RV compound for the inspection. Findings of the walkthrough have been reviewed and door hangers are being written up for new violations found. As of October 9th, 2019, there were 26 violations that have been completed, 5 that were given extensions, 2 ongoing, and 18 active. The RV Compound Committee and the volunteers thank all who have complied. Progress is being made, and when you drive through the compound, you can see the transformation that's taken place. Respectfully, Linda Walls.
Thank you, Frank.
I got more.
Go ahead.
Just a little bit on the ACC Control Committee, of which I am a liaison also. We had a good meeting. We had 14 items we talked about. All members of the ACC were present. The things we talked about were fences, sheds, decks, patios, driveway extensions, and new houses. There was 3 new houses that came up on the agenda. 2 of them passed, 1 of them did not pass, but it seems like it's not a problem. It's an easy fix for the owner. But everything else went okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Rosemary?
I'm sure by now that all of you have received your mailing for the budget. Hopefully you will turn them in as quickly as possible. We're hoping with this new process of doing mailings to all our residents that we will get a better turnout for our budget vote than the average 10%. So hopefully, please fill out your ballot and return it as soon as possible.
Ms. Smith?
Beautification Committee will meet in the beginning of November, so I don't have anything to report on the beautification. The front sign is ongoing. We expect that they will start on the stucco this week, so we're looking forward to seeing. I hope everybody's as pleased with the new sign, the beginning of it, as I am. I think it looks huge compared to how it was with those sides being brought straight down instead of curved in. So we're looking real forward to the sign being finished.
Mr. Sajak.
Yes, remind my AVRC folks, AVRC meeting tomorrow at 9 o'clock, be here at 8:30, bright and early.
Ms. Webster?
I met with the Friday Night Bingo Board this week, and I just want to go over a few things with what I was a bit interested in, and they're very organized. They have about 16 or 18 volunteers that work on that. They average about 175 participants on Friday night. And they start at 5, but they start selling tickets at 3 o'clock. They would like, we're a little upset about the budget that doesn't show that they do pay $2,350 a month for rent. So it's not a free thing for them. And I was very pleased to, and they were very kind. I also have one other thing I want to say, and it's the ad hoc committee that worked on the stain. I would like to say that Ann Edwards and Paul, they were staining pieces of board over and over and over again. Vinny was our driver all over the place. We went all different places. We worked together to do the very best that we could do for this community. We hope you will come and look at the boards and pick out the ones that you really like. Thank you.
Ms. Nutter.
First, I'd like to thank the ad hoc committee for the samples. I think you guys did an amazing job, and Paul presented it amazing. Also, I would like to welcome Paul and Hope Campbell to the unit reps. They are new members, and just a little heads up about the unit reps. They're all over there in pink and blue, and in the sign in front of them that has their name, it says what unit they are in. And please feel free to go over there and chat with them. They're our friends, they have a lot of information, and they would love to have a conversation with the rest of the residents. Don't be shy. And their phone numbers are also in the news and views. And the next thing I'd like to bring up is people speeding in the community and not stopping at the stop signs. I don't know how many of you out there are walkers, but I am an early morning walker. And I can't tell you how many residents and other people that are driving in here with commercial plates that they don't stop at the stop sign. They look maybe one way, but not always. And I would really like to see us give some funds to code restriction or past security so that we can eliminate this. I think that people just don't pay attention. And in our community, we have hearing impaired, vision impaired, we have people walking dogs. And people just, they don't realize that. And before somebody gets seriously hurt, we need to take into consideration the way we're driving around here. Thank you.
I'll go to member comments. I'm going to presume that was one. Any other member comments? We'll start from here to come this way.
I have one thing about this Section 13, the home maintenance. No.
We'll discuss that later.
Okay. Then, surprisingly, I have nothing.
Ms. Webster.
First of all, I'd like to see so many people. It's good to see so many folks here. It'd be nice to see this group all the time. I have an apology to make. I think my microphone just went. So much for cordless. Okay, last meeting I spoke of the next door neighbor site. I had a past experience in the past with this Brookridge blog thing that created a lot of havoc among the board and the membership, and a lot of slander was going on. And I had mixed emotions about this site, and I have been informed otherwise, and I apologize if I have offended anybody with speaking of the next door neighbor website. But it's a good thing. There may be a couple of bad apples in there, but it's a good thing. So I just want to apologize that I kind of I took my emotions into the next door neighbor's website instead of the blog, which is passé. So I apologize, and if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry.
We'll pass it around. I just want to remind everybody about the Fall Festival that's coming up the 30th of November. So be sure and put it on your calendars, put it on your cell phones to signal an alarm. We're going to have it from 10 to 4. We're going to have a car show. We're going to have a cake bake contest. Has to be an original cake, can't be a box cake, but we're going to have a contest for that. We're going to have some of the chefs from some of the restaurants that have decided that they would come and judge our cake for us, and then we'll sell the pieces after that. We're going to have a golf tournament. There's going to be a dunk tank again, so anybody that would like to volunteer to be in the dunk tank, I think we can work on a few up here. But it's going to be a fun day for everybody, so be sure and put it on your calendar and come and enjoy the festivities. We're going to have food. We're going to have a dessert truck. Going to have music, so it's going to be a fun day. So be sure and remember the 30th of November, the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Ms. Pasteri?
I have a couple of things here. Veterans Day, we're having a ceremony here. That's Monday, November 11th, starting at 10 a.m. We hope all you veterans and spouses and supporters of our veterans will attend this activity. Jackie McCabe isn't here tonight, but the annual neighborhood garage sale is scheduled for the 16th of November. Room E is open from 9 to 11, Monday through Friday, to take your donations. Someone will be there, and you just can bring them in and leave them in that room, room E, so that the volunteers can sort through them and price them. The other thing is, anybody interested in Halloween? October 26th. It's a Saturday night, a week from this Saturday. The Melting Pot is having a Halloween dinner. It's a potluck dinner and dance. Tickets are $8 per person. We're going to have a costumes are optional, but we will give out prizes for best costumes.
This one wants all the time, Ken.
Tickets are $8 per person, and they're on sale tomorrow, next Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 11 here in the clubhouse. Somebody from the melting pot will be here to collect your money. So if you want to come and have some...
You're doing melting pot on the 26th?
Yes,
You just approved the, Helping Hands Halloween party.
that's for the children, and that's in the pavilion. Special needs children.
Go, Lynn.
And that's right here in the pavilion. So anyway, anybody that wants to come and have fun, celebrate Halloween, like I said, costumes are optional, clothing isn't. I mean, I saw some costumes today. Anyway, if you want to have some fun, we're going to have dancing, we're going to have food, we're just going to have a good time. So right now, I believe they were up to 12 tables they've sold for this dance on the 26th. So come out and join us.
What about the 27th, Chad?
Yes, I have a few things that have been on my mind here. One of them is the security written on the cars and on the shirts of the code enforcement officers. Is that going to be taken off soon, or is that going to stay for a long time? I feel they're falsely representing themselves.
You're asking if security will come off the
word security
off the cars?
Yes, and off their shirts.
Yeah, it will come off as they're getting replaced. They want to spend extra money.
Okay, that's an answer. The one other thing I got is, been working on SOPs, and we had a little thing with SOPs this week, but I feel we need an SOP, and we got to work as a group here for vetting contractors. What time? I took a breath. I know that Shaw came and re-inspected the tile here, and I was wondering how he found it, and if anything that was done is going to affect our 30-year warranty.
Now, not that we're aware of at this point.
So it was a good inspection, everything was okay?
Don't know, haven't got a report.
Oh, you haven't got the report, okay. Can we hear more about that at the next meeting?
As soon as we get a report, we'll make it public.
Thank you.
Petrona, wasn't the 23rd of October, the Crafty Stitchers at the clubhouse here, Crafty Stitchers? So anybody that's looking for some homemade items, the Crafty Stitchers on the 23rd. I'm not exactly sure their hours, but
8 to 12.
8 to 12. So if anybody's looking for gifts or anything, remember the 23rd, the Crafty Stitchers.
Is it October or November? Hello?
Check your news and views.
October.
Thank you.
I just want to remind you all that Pine Brook, they are in here every Wednesday this month from 10 to 2 to do flu shots and pneumonia shots, and they have a little gift for everybody. So if you don't want to go out of the park and you want to have it done here, come up here on Wednesdays for the month of October and get your shot. Also, the Women's Club Bingo started last night, so we have bingo every Tuesday night, and that's just for the residents of the park. So we'd like to see you there. Thank you.
Couple things. We had lightning strike last month, and there's been a lot of talk about that. The total to be replaced was $515. An insurance claim was not filed because our deductible is $1,000. Hard to file a claim if you don't hit the dollar amount. That included some things from a PC to a battery backup, donated to Toshiba TV, Spectrum box, Spectrum replacement, no charge. Nice people. The unit that was hooked into the video that allows us to broadcast has been replaced. It was a total of $13 for that unit. The wrong one got ordered, the new one's in and in place. There's been a rumor going around that we spent about $70,000 on a truck and a mower. Let me set the record straight. In 2015, we replaced a mower at the tune of $25,000. In 2018, we replaced a pickup truck and gave the old one to the clubhouse to use, and we replaced that at a total of $35,000. Those were the two amounts in there. Just to bring everybody up to date, I said at the last Wednesday meeting that we had been approached by Merrill Lynch, and that Mr. Giroux and I had a meeting set up with the people from Merrill Lynch to discuss other ways of trying to make income, trying to stay within our governing documents. We met with the people from Merrill Lynch. Their documents all indicated they had FDIC insured CDs, but at the bottom of all their documents was a disclaimer that earnings aren't guaranteed and monies aren't guaranteed. We at that point referred them to our legal counsel. Legal counsel spoke with them, referred back to us and said the CDs are okay. When in our meeting with Merrill Lynch, they advised us, I asked them if there was any charge for them being so nice to us and getting us the same CD rates, by the way, that we can get locally. Their current CD rates they were offering were 2%. The rates that we had just received were 2%. They advised us that, yes, that they did have a charge and that charge is 0.030% per year divided out by 12 months based on the amount you put in. If we were investing $250,000 in one of their CDs, for example, it would cost us about $672 per month, total of about $7,500 of income that we would pay them for them getting us a CD. The treasurer and I have a meeting tomorrow where we're going to look through some stuff and see if there's any place we go from there. If we did go forward from there, governing documents would need to be changed, because at this point under our investment policy documents, we are not allowed to have an investment firm whether or not they are paid to be an investment firm. And our governing documents tell us where we can invest. And if we were going to change that particular governing document, that would come as an amendment to the deed restrictions, would go before the people to be voted on, could possibly reach the board, the people for a vote until next November at this point. So just give you a little bit of update information on that. I received a letter and an email, and I'm going to do my best to give you the generalities of this, because I think it's something that you need to know. The person involved asked me not to use her name, and I'm not going to. So please don't ever come to me and say, who was that? I will simply tell you it was a Brookridge employee. On August 5th, this person was doing a project, and they had a heart attack. And they were blackout, fell over. And this particular employee happened to come in that area and saw the person laying on the ground. They made him comfortable. They called 911. They put an umbrella over him. They called some other folks. And the person's letter to me states that if it had not been for that employee's quick action, that he found out later from the medical people that he'd be dead. We've got some good employees in Brookridge. They're looking out for not only Brookridge and its property, but for us as people. So, although, and he told me in the letter, 2 days after being in the hospital, they had open aortic surgery. They're doing well. And although they asked me not to use her name, and I'm not going to do that, I felt it extremely important to share with Brookridge community the actions of one of our Brookridge employees in taking care of us as residents. I'll move now to member comments. I'm going to start on the right-hand side, then I'll come to the left hand, and I'm going to go front to back. Okay? Please come to the podium. Name, unit number, please.
Jim Chawinski, Unit 4. I want everyone to know that I'm speaking for myself, nobody else. Ms. Pastari, I find it incredibly annoying that you do not know who you're writing checks to. It's interesting, well, you couldn't answer the question of what a $600 check was for and a $400 check. But I can tell you what it was for, but I'm not going to embarrass anybody in management or you, because I brought up at the last meeting, please vet your contractor. And Mr. Matthews, I would be more than happy to help you, guide you with that. That's what I did for a living. I would be more than happy to help us save money so that we don't always have to be raising our rates, because you take care of your pennies, take care of the dollars, and you know where those checks went, ma'am. I'd like to see some hands. The contract for the wall, who saw that up here? Anybody? Who saw the contract for the floor? Anybody? Who saw the contract for either project, senior insurance, senior licenses? Anybody? Now I appreciate you being a good liaison for every member in this association. Thank you very much. But you really got to watch our dollars, because that's where you're losing a lot of money. And again, Mr. Matthews, I'd be more than happy to help you. Engineer specs you guys never look at. There's a lot of stuff that you should do. And if I said jokingly, ma'am, who goes to bingo here, wonder if anybody would raise their hand, because what happened at last meeting was embarrassing. You still have unlicensed, uninsured contractors working there, even after I brought it up at the last meeting. That's where your $600 check went to and where your $400 check went to, because if you have a $600 check, you have to worry about taxes and the $400 also. Been around this game too long. Another thing, what is the process, ma'am, for writing checks? What is your process? Do you look at the contracts, or do you just write checks? What is your process? That's a very interesting thing, because I get the feeling somebody comes up to you and says, here, I need a check for $87,000, you just write it. You probably couldn't tell me a process. And that's what I believe is one of the big problems here. And if you vet the contractors, that'll all make sense.
Let's keep just a little bit of decorum, okay? I appreciate you bringing points up, but please don't make statements without getting answers.
I would like to remove myself. I am not going to sit here and be insulted.
Well, you have a ledger. You should know this stuff, ma'am. It's our money. It's your money. I'm sorry if you're upset, because sometimes the truth does hurt.
The check for $80-some thousand was cut based on the contract.
Time taken away. I have a quick question. November 20th. What time is this for the ballots? And anybody can go to that? All right, perfect. Okay.
Come to vote, you have to ID card.
All right, very good. That's all I have. And again, I want to thank you all for being such good liaisons for us. And you really need to watch our money. Because if you want raises for the HOA, I don't know. Right now, I can't see it.
Please note that the raise of the HOA and the budget was put together by residents, not the board, not the treasurer. It was a board committee comprised of residents, Mr. Shaworski, that put the budget together, which called for the increase. Not the board, not management, nobody on this.
I apologize for that, but I just want to see our cost control, and I would be more than happy if to help that contract. Oh my God.
Other member comments from the right-hand side? Way in the back.
I have one question. My name is Pat Austin, and I'm from Section 4. My question is about flags and statues. Are there any rules and regulations about what can be said on a flag as far as statues are concerned, what the statue represents, or how tall the statue is that you put on your lawn? Can anything be put up?
As far as lawn decorations, you're
Yeah.
talking about a statue in the lawn?
Right.
I'm trying to think back through all the documents. Hey, I'm gonna take your question under advisement, and I will get you, I will have an answer at the next Tuesday meeting for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Other member comments from the right-hand side? Seeing none, I'm gonna move over to the left-hand side from front to back. Margie?
Hello. Marge Roloff, Unit 4. I have a couple questions and a comment about online voting. Took me 4 attempts to vote online. I tried twice before October 3rd. I emailed Ray, and he said that this guy Brett would send me another invitation, which did not happen. So I tried again last night to vote. That's number 3. Today I finally got through 4 times. You want people to vote online, you need to make it easy for them, okay? So Ray, I have a couple questions. Do we pay as a community one price, or do we pay per person to this, just one community? Okay. So you know.
The board approved a $725 expenditure to hire Becker Ballot for a 12-month term. So it will overlap our March elections as well. So we've got.
Do you know how many of the, I guess approximately 260 people that are registered, how many of those people really do vote?
Of the 44% of the 260 have appeared to have voted, leaving 59, 50, something like that, that have not registered to vote. They have not replied to the
I
invite.
was just curious how much it would cost. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Other member comments from the left-hand side? Since I just called on her, I'm gonna hold you for a second. Gil?
I'm Gil Langto from Unit 4. I have a safety concern. What it is I mentioned it before I left it a comment downtown, down at the office. What happens is you get overgrown bushes and palm trees hanging out over the edge of the roadway, and it's very unsafe. I was going down Brookridge the other day, and I was on the inside lane. There was a car next to me, and she was just going ahead of me. And we got down past Brookridge, and there was some bushes overgrown about 2 feet into the roadway. And she cut right over, and knowing I'm lucky I put the brakes on, and it was a safety issue. She didn't want to run into those. Now, a couple examples, right down here in Waterford, there's a couple big bushes over there that hanging over about 3 feet right in the road. Why isn't somebody doing anything about that? And down on Rialto, there's 2 palm trees. They're actually growing out of the curb into the roadway. I can't go by there with my truck and my mirrors without hitting that thing if I don't move over. So that's my concern. I think it's a safety issue. I think we need to address it.
Gil, give me the addresses. Give me the addresses for them.
Okay.
Thank you. Doug?
Doug Roloff, Unit 4. I've got a positive statement to make tonight. This goes to all my brothers and sisters, veterans. Lowe's will give you a 10% discount if you don't know about it. It's very easy to apply for. All you have to do is take your DD-214. They'll register you with your phone number. Your wife can use it. Your son can use it. Your children, family members can use it, but it's for all veterans. And there's a lot of other organizations will do it, but I found it that Lowe's does it very simply. Thank you.
Other member comments? Anybody else? Anybody at all? Mr. Harrison, I'm sorry I didn't.
Can't see me.
As soon as you start speaking, the clock starts.
Yeah. I try to keep it.
There you go, you're done.
Come on, Paul.
Paul, just speak loud.
There we go. Just a couple things tonight. I think maybe we could clarify one thing. We were talking about the expense of...
Mr. Harrison?
Oh, Paul Harrison, Unit 4. I'm sorry. Unit 4 seems to be coming up here a lot tonight. Maybe this will clarify, I hope it would, that 142172 expense and the 600, was that the labor cost for Lou to finish doing what he had to do?
Are you talking about out of the 600 out of the wainscoting from the...
Yeah, the flooring and wainscoting. Was that the fee for Lou to finish doing his work?
You're talking about the donated funds,
Yeah.
correct? I've got a note to myself to verify exactly what that's for.
Yeah, okay.
I cannot tell you.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought it might be, because that guy Lou did a wonderful job. He's a master carpenter. And I know Vince is now going around taking all the wainscoting off and doing it correctly now, so I gotta give him credit for doing that. But it's taken his away from his other... Touch it. It takes him away from his other work.
Shake it, Paul.
I just have a question on the floor is done and everything. So the contractor we chose, H. King, he was one of the bidders. I think you said Empire was another bidder. You said at one of your meetings. If I can remember.
He's asking for what the name of the other contractor was that we had involved in there.
I know you said he was the highest bidder. And you said you think you had 3 bidders, because he came in at the highest. My question to you was, if he came in at the highest, why did we ask him, did he ever do a commercial job as big as this? And if he did, you would have liked to have a reference where you could have called and went out to see his workmanship. That's one of my questions. Did we approach him on that particular item? And my second question is, as they were putting down the floor, did they roll the floor so that the glue adheres to the tile and it also makes the floor a little more evenly? Was that done? Do you know of?
I wasn't here when they laid the floor. Can't tell you if they rolled it or not.
Yeah, but I would have been, because when I was here when the Shore representative was here, I just walked in because we were looking up here. He had a roller with him. But that should have been done when the floor was done. It may have helped us, prevented the floor from lifting. I don't know that. That's all.
Your 3 minutes are up, Paul.
I know. That was my comments, though.
I will give you a response back to Nature Coast. Yes, they were the highest. They were the only ones that were quoting the size tile we had. The other bidders were bidding on 12 by 12 tiles.
Why didn't we go to Shore directly and purchase it from them and eliminated branding?
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question, but get with me and I'll bring it up, and I'll bring it up next Tuesday for you. Thank you. Any other member comments? There's the roll over there, by the way. Vince has got out.
Yeah, Ron.
Okay. The only other thing I'd like to say, if you have any questions on the cost from the clubhouse, and you haven't had a chance to read the October news and views. If you'll take the October news and views and do exactly what I did, and take the dollar amounts that are listed in that report from your general manager and add those and put them together, you will see that it comes up to what the report indicated it come up with. It's got all the facts and figures there for you folks. Just a point of information for you. Seeing no other member comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. Sajak. Do I have